few years ago, I decided to try to make the lightest possible freestanding tent. I wanted to be able to sit up in the tent and have some room to stow gear. To obtain the absolute minimum weight, my feet would extend into a bivy sack when sleeping, and I based the shape on a triangle rather than the usual rectangle. As with all my tent projects, I'd work out the geometry of the design using Blender 3D software. I came up with a triangular plan shape using curved poles to tension the fabric and increase the space. There are ventilation points at the rear point and high on the front face. There's a door with Velcro closures on one side. One big advantage of using 3D software is you can confirm there's enough space in the design by using 3D models of human figures. To make sure that the tent's curves match how the poles will actually bend, I set up poles and photographed them to use as a background in Blender. Once I determined the final angles of the poles, I used Blender to design a custom hub that I'd have 3D printed. Once the design was finalized, I used Blender to create patterns for all the different faces of the tent. I used the offsets to create full-size patterns. The final tent used only taped seams, with no sewing involved. There's no room for a large pack in this tent, but there's a small amount of storage above the head. There's enough ventilation to keep air flowing and minimize condensation. I've now used the tent on several occasions. There's enough room around the head so it doesn't feel claustrophobic, and at 340 grams, it's lighter than most bivy sacks. Here's a short video showing how the tent can be set up in about a minute and a half.
So I have the tent and the poles laid out on the ground. There's one long pole and two short poles. The rear pole, I have the 3D printed hub positioned on the end of the pole. So the first step is to place the long pole inside the back of the tent through the doorway so that it seats into the corner like that. Then place one of the front poles into the sock part of the tent at the bottom, and then push the pole into the hub and open the tent door and place the foot of the pole in the corner. Make sure it's seated properly. Then place the final pole into the hub. Place the foot on the tent to keep it from sliding away. And bend the pole, apply some tension on the pole so that it can be forced into the peak. This, and then push the foot of the pole through the doorway, holding onto the end of the pole, and work it into the foot. Like that. And that's it, it's finished, done. Doorway can be closed with the Velcro. And that's it.